Hello and welcome to the show. It's a wonderful Tuesday morning, and it's one of those car wash episodes. So expect to hear noise in the background. Today I'd like us to start a book review, and that's because you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time. You know that we just moved house recently, and part of the process of moving involves, packing stuff away and moving them to the new house. And during that process, I discovered that I have lots of books that I haven't read in a very long time. So I figured it might be a good idea to take one of those books every once in a while and then do a book review just to expose you guys to some of the stuff that I read every once in a while and let you know what my own take is, my own perspective on some of these things. Now, of course, since my area of specialty is sales, especially personal sales, I'm going to be looking at whatever material that we discuss on these books. I'll be looking at it from a sales and business development perspective. And now the first book that we're going to run through is an old one. It's by Malcolm Gladwell, the journalist. And the name of the book is Outliers. The subtitle is The Story of Success, and it was Penguin Books, published by Penguin Books in 2009. And looking at the cover and looking at the back and looking at the blurbs and everything, it looks as if the book is preoccupied with figuring out what is the secret of success. So I'm sure that lots of you listening to this podcast, you guys will find that sort of thing really interesting. But the angle that he's coming from, that he seems to be coming from, and part of the reason why I like this book, is that the angle that he's coming from is that success is a threefold thing. Now, success is about who we are, it's about what we do, and where we're from. So let me repeat. Success is about who we are, what we do, and where we are from. All those things taken together. And I think that that's a good perspective because we have too many people running around saying that success is because of where we're from or who we are. Because there's some people who say Dangote is successful because his popsy was successful, or Trump is successful because his popsy was successful. And, it's not necessarily the case, because there's some people who are born with serious bar, as in some people are born with serious dough, but then they end up misbehaving and they just squander the whole money, like they lose everything. So it's not a guarantee that because you are from America, or you're from a wealthy family, or you're from, XYZ, that is a guarantee that you're going to be successful, because there are other components as well. In fact, I remember listening to a documentary, because it was an audio documentary that was exploring these sorts of things from an entrepreneurship angle. And I think doing an experiment with twins, twins, what do you call them? The twins who look alike. Is it identical twins, Abi? The experiment was about identical twins, and they're trying to see if they could find a genetic component for entrepreneurship. And the results of the research, this was a long time ago, so I can't remember what the research methodology was like, because I'm sure that those of you who studied statistics, you guys would like to know all those kinds of things. But anyway, what they found was that entrepreneurship, that there's a genetic component to it, but they narrowed it down to about 30%. Of course, it's curious, interesting to see, how did you guys arrive at that? But that was the result anyway, that entrepreneurship has a genetic component, but that's just 30%. The remaining 60% is, other factors, but pretty much what it is that you do. So, these are sorts of ideas that I'm kind of partial to, that it's not just who we are, where we're from, it's not any of these things in isolation, but it's everything together. So you can be from the right part of the country, you can be from the right family, you can have the right genes, you can have the right everything, but if you do absolutely nothing, then nothing is going to happen. Well, then you can come from the poorest, you can come from the wrong background, like Oprah Winfrey, for instance, everything stacked against you, but then if you do the right things, you can make it work. For most people, you find that the truth is somewhere in between. But either way, we're trying to balance everything. Who are we? What do we do? And where are we from? And that is one of the reasons why I have this podcast. It's part of the focus of the podcast, that what we do is an important part of our success journey and is an important part about how we are going to build and grow sustainable business. What we do, which is why I focus on learnable skills. And I also focus on habituation. That is, doing things today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, getting into the groove, getting into the habit, because the more you habituate yourself towards good ends, the greater the chances that you have of good ends occurring. So, in other words, roughly speaking, average, because some of you will say, no, that's not the case. But remember, I'm just speaking average now. So, roughly speaking, if you're a young man, you take good care of your body, you eat right, you exercise well, all of that, then, the chances of you having a nice, healthy, long lifestyle, goes up. But yes, we are speaking in terms of averages, because some of you are going to point out that, no, that's not the case. I had an uncle, the uncle was obese, and the uncle smoked until the day he died, and he womanized, and he was smoking cigar, and he was an armed robber, and he was a drug dealer, but he lived to the ripe old age of 120. Yes, so these things happen. But I'm just saying, on average, if you try and take advantage of habituation, trying to create good habits, trying to orient your life towards certain things, then the chances of you achieving those things go up. Which is not to say that, there are people who buck the trend. Yes, there are people who buck the trend. But like I say, people who beat the trend, don't model your life after them. So, yes, it's possible that your uncle, who was an armed robber and a womanizer, who drank and smoked and who was obese, and, yes, it's possible that he lived to 120. But that doesn't mean that if you do exactly everything that your uncle did, that you will live to be 120 as well. So that's why over here we focus on learnable skills, we focus on habituation, and then we also focus on frameworks, because lots of times in the sales space, one of the reasons why people are struggling really is because they don't know what to do. Especially like in the office space, I noticed that, Oga will just get together a group of people and then so I'll go and sell. I'm like, go and sell how? But you didn't tell them what they're supposed to do. So they go out and they don't know which way is left or right. They don't know who they're supposed to be talking to. You don't know how you introduce yourself. You don't know how you state the value proposition. You don't know how you do needs analysis. You don't know how to figure out what it is that the person wants. You don't know how to negotiate. When you're done negotiating, you don't know how to close. When you close, you don't know how to follow up with the customer. You don't know how to run customer service moves to be sure that everybody is happy. After that, you don't know how to try and get a referral from them to bring in repeat business, so there are lots of things that people don't know. But then for those of you who run businesses, you just say, help wanted, you just hire the most attractive girls or the guys who sound the most confident, then now say go and sell, and they expect that business to move. Like, how? You didn't train them. And then for those of you who are self-employed, it's the same thing. Like in my own case, I was good at taking pictures. Somebody said you should be a photographer. I was like, okay, cool. And then that's how I began. Somebody says, oh, you're good at making dresses, you should be a fashion designer. I'm like, okay, maybe, but there's more to the story. Yeah, you're good at making dresses and coming up with designs and everything, but at the end of the day, we still have to sell the damn thing. And do you know how to sell? So that's the reason why on this podcast we focus on these sorts of things. So it's not just who we are, the skill set, the background, the family, the whatever, but it's also about what we do. So what learnable skills are we going to go out and acquire? What kind of frameworks are we going to learn? And then how are we going to execute them on the daily, consistently, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your cadence. Oh, by the way, I think monthly is too much, too big. I don't think you can do something consistently on a monthly schedule and then expect to see some progress. So when it comes to sales and business development, typically we're talking about daily or weekly cadences. So if you're going to be prospecting, that means you're going to be prospecting every day, or maybe on a weekly, whatever, maybe you have some set days aside so that you do prospecting on Monday and Friday or something like that, and then you repeat it every week. But either way, you see that's the habituation element coming in here. So that's the reason why we focus on these sorts of things over here on the pod. So this is going to be the first true book review, because for the last book review, I didn't really read it. I just looked at the main themes in it. But for Malcolm Gladwell, I'll take my time and I'll go through it, one page after another. And then after that, we'll have some interesting conversations. But so far, looking at the cover, looking at the blurb, looking at the intro, looking at, all that intro part of the book, Malcolm Gladwell's thesis is that success is not just about who we are and where we're from. It also matters what it is that we do. And I hope you guys are going to be along with me for the ride as well for this book review. Speaking of book reviews, I actually had someone record a book review, Emmanuel. So I can't remember his full name, but I have it on my phone. But I haven't done the editing and stitching together because most of the, in fact, not even most, all the podcasts I've done have been live. Okay, apart from one where the communication specialist in Canada, Nene, she recorded that one and then edited it. So that was my first and so far the only interview podcast that I've done. So anyway, since editing is not my forte, to be honest, Emmanuel, I will get to it, but the file is on my phone. I just need to figure out how to edit it, and also how for me to record an intro and then an outro and then stitch the three together and then put it over here on the show. So I'll figure that out, and after I'm done with this Malcolm Gladwell review, your own review will be next. So you guys join me on this book review. Let's see what we can learn from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. Again, the subtext, that'll be the subtitle or whatever, is The Story of Success. Penguin Books, 2009. But in typical Niger fashion, if you go to the nearest, for those of you living in Lagos, if you go to the nearest garage, go to Ojota No Garage, go to Oshodi, go to all those places, you will definitely see boys who are hawking these books, and just ask, and they'll hook you up. So I'm not condoning piracy, but anyway, let me stop there before I say something that will get me in trouble. So if you'd love to connect for a strategy session, a business audit, or you have questions you'd like for me to answer, the number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234. That's my WhatsApp number. Then connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tavishima Ayede. Then on YouTube, my YouTube channel, same name, Tavishima Ayede. Or just search Sales for the Nigerian Business Person, and you see the podcast. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we'll continue with this journey on Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, the Story of Success. So I'll catch you guys later.